is there's a lot of discussion around balance and maybe a feeling of not being in balance, or a feeling of being selfish when you do things for yourself, which aren't actually always just for yourself, I guess, if that makes sense. And we're just going to sort of open up a quick 5-10 minute conversation on how that plays out for me and you, having been people that were previously not as active, as healthy as we are now, I guess. With busy lives, got responsibilities, got jobs, got relationships to maintain with adults and our children, various, whether it's in our own homes, our extended families, our friendships and all that kind of stuff, and what that looks like. So you're pretty good at this, Chris. So I just thought you'd be able to shoot from the hip a little bit on what your sense of balance is, mate, and how you've managed to, on paper, it doesn't always feel like it, but outside looking in, looks like you've got some.
Yeah, I think it's like really specific to the individual, isn't it? And what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. But yeah, from a couple of chats I've had with people recently, I know it's probably like the biggest challenge for people that are either around our age or regardless of age, whether or not they've got like, yeah, busy commitments with work and kids and family, like you said. And it's tough, isn't it? I think one of the hardest things is that everything seems to be moving. So it's quite rare you get a fixed week where you know where everything slots in. And it's being able to adapt, isn't it? And having the experience of knowing how you can fall into a decent routine when things do get a little bit tough, and not have weeks that just spiral out of control a little bit, and before you know it, you're 2 weeks off routine and left thinking, oh, I'm starting from zero again. So I think the big things people can focus on is, one, understanding what balance means to them to start off with, and then forging a bit of a plan as to how they achieve that. And then as you work through that and get better at dealing with it, having these little safety nets to sort of fall into if things do get a little bit out of hand, or busy, or unexpected things crop up. So I think, like we touched on last time we spoke about fitness, and it's easy to knock the gym on the head if you have other things that are in reality more important. But can you get a set of workouts that you know you can go and do in 20 minutes if you have to, which are going to give you a high return for that 20 minutes, as opposed to just doing bench press and having 3 minutes rest in between everything and coming out like you feel like you haven't done anything? And you can apply that to like family time, can't you? Like, don't know if you've ever tried it, but just leaving the phone out of the room completely and spending an hour is much better than 3 hours where you're diving in and out of WhatsApp messages popping up and other notifications that, no matter how hard you try, it just distracts you from where you want your attention to be. So I think that's somewhere, if someone's struggling or thinking about how do I get a little bit better at that, I think, yeah, working out why you've noticed there isn't any balance. 2, where do you want to get to with it? And then 3, creating these little systems that will help you not fall off the rails.
There's a lot going on in there in a busy life, and you know, as you're talking, then I wish I brought a pad because I've got just so much going on. But like you say, and this isn't, and we were just talking on the phone, like we have a conversation about what we're going to talk about before we jump on this, even though it looks like we just jumped on this. And the fitness industry leads you to believe that you have to, you know, spend all Sunday cooking, that you have to go to the gym every single day, that you have to do, you know, you then have to go on and do your 10,000 steps, and you've got to do all these other things, and you've got to do your mobility and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing that is worth just, you know, nipping in the bud in some respects. I've done a 16-minute workout today, quarter of an hour. Okay, I've spent probably 2 hours staring at my phone. Some of it can be called work, some of it can be called not working. But my exercise in total, well, 40 minutes if you give a warm up, a bit of a practice, getting loose and all that kind of stuff. But a 16-minute workout, and you're right. It's about that minimum effective dose of everything, I guess. What's the biggest bang for the buck? Like, the phone thing. We've the phone thing for me is currently my biggest worry about the world that I'm in from a balance perspective. We've got WhatsApp groups particularly. I might spend quite a bit of time on WhatsApp each day, either prospecting for my business, dealing with people that I'm already dealing with, and guess what? They reply when I'm in the thick of everything at home. So it is learning that I can read that thing in an hour. I can read that thing in 2 hours. My business will not implode. My career will not end if we don't get back to that person in that time. Because you find that. I don't know if you get it, Chris. If someone wants to get hold of you on the phone, they can't ring you. They'll WhatsApp you. They'll Instagram you. They'll LinkedIn you. They'll email you. They want to find you. They'll find you. They'll come knocking on your door. Hiya, can I have that? Those drawings and stuff like that. And you just got to be able to. I'm particularly, and I'm not saying this from a coaching perspective. I'm saying this internally. Is really conscious of where my phone is now. Because we're all telling our kids to stop staring at the devices, stop watching YouTube, stop doing this, and I'm not having it that we are not the biggest culprits.
Yeah, no, I'll be the worst. Definitely in our house, like Joe's good at switching off from it. But yeah, it does get in the way sometimes. I think so. Balance is like the lines get a little bit blurred, don't they, sometimes? So if I'm working till, say, from home, and I'll work till 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then I stop work, but then I've got 6 till 7 to spend with the family. There's a little bit of blur in me catching up on my phone.
Yeah.
But there's never anything that's that important.
No.
That can't wait till when the kids have gone to bed. But it is just habit, isn't it?
And if you can do a 60-minute workout, you can do like 20 minutes focused talking to the children, can't you? Or catching up with Joe or whatever. Like,
yeah.
You can apply that logic to a lot of things, is to like really make that moment special, so that when you do dive into your emails at 7:30, 8 o'clock, when the kids are just watching a bit of telly or whatever, it's not we have paid attention in the right places at the right time. Because otherwise we're just not doing anything for anyone, are we? The people at the end of the work thing aren't getting the full us. We're not giving, no one's winning when we're just, like, say, blurring those lines a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it just takes sometimes just to call it out as well.
Yeah.
Like there'll be times when Joe will say to me, like, you don't, unless it's something that you really need to be on the phone with, then just pop it down. And she's right. Like, I just need to sometimes be called out on it, and it helps. And I think we're used to, aren't we? Probably gone through that point in our careers where you do have to be like responsive and feel as though you need to be getting back to people immediately. But as you get a little bit more progressed, I think it's within our gift to set the boundaries, but we probably don't do it without being pushed. I think that's something that we're responsible to sort out, really. I don't think there'll be that many people. There'll be some jobs that are more important than mine, where sort of things definitely have to be immediate a lot of the time. But I can quite fortunate in saying that, yeah, I need to just focus on this report for a while, and I can just knock the emails off and not answer any calls or put my phone on airplane mode. And it's amazing how just doing that, how much more efficient you can be, because it's not a phone anymore, is it? It's just a distraction box. Like, a phone is just a part of it. It's everything else that comes with it that takes up a lot of the time.
But one step on from that is you also can't de-digitalize ourselves, can we? It's like trying to uninvent the internet. You can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't say, right, my phone, I'm not going to have my phone anymore in these hours, because it might be an emergency. It might be school on the phone about something, or, you know what I mean? So
you can.
We need them around us, don't we? I don't know if you downloaded it. I've got that Opal app blocker. I did a 7-day trial that I accidentally paid 90 quid for a year subscription, but I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
organised I am, 100 quid. But I programmed it now between 9 and 1 each day, and all day weekends I can't get on social media on my phone.
Yeah.
Now, what obviously I'm sneaky. I'll go to my laptop and I'll open it up and have a bit of a look around. But then I think I'm working, so I might just do a post or something, or do so. I'll go on there on purpose a little bit more, and then after I've worded myself and come off. But between 9 and 1, it just means I can't access that world. I can't mess around making little reels and stuff like that I could I could say are actually working. I actually have to do something working, which is talking to people, building relationships, arranging to go see people, and it's massively freed up a lot more headspace. And you get a little bit of time when you start picking up the phone and you can't get into what you normally go to, because you'll have a track, won't you? Whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or emails, Facebook, WhatsApp. Everyone has like a little route to find some attention.
Yeah.
And when you removed it, what I'll do, I'll pay attention to these people that are actually all around me, or get my head down and get a bit of focused work done.
How do you use that time that you've saved on that?
I've done a lot more activity, what's called activity on my business, a lot more engaging with talking to people.
Yeah.
So whereas it might have previously been just a bit of scrolling, looking, seeing who might be interested in speaking to me about what I do, it's a bit more like proactive stuff now. And I can do that in I'll go, right, put a clock on for 20 minutes. I'm going to reach out to some people, or engage some people that I'm working with, or do some follow-ups to some clients at the gym and that kind of stuff, rather than go into that with the intention of doing that sort of work and just getting lost in the world that is, those things are created to keep you on there. And I say it to my kids, is like, it's not their fault. The creators of these apps have designed them as such.
Yeah.
So it's not, don't beat ourselves up about it. We are being, they're designed to do what they do, which is to keep us on them. So it's just a matter of just removing that for a short space of time. And then I found out that there's nothing that's gone on in that world that I've missed. And I've never gone on in that 4 hours that I was missing from Facebook. This thing happened and it was really important.
Yeah.
Never happened.
It does feel like the way that life can easily get into like a feeling as though you're just getting sort of swept downstream, can't it? And
yeah,
everything gathers a bit of momentum without much effort. And I think if you feel like that's sort of happening, you need to think about how you can sort of pull yourself out to the side and just take a view and reset some things, like you sounds like you've done there and felt the benefit from. But it's trying different things, isn't it? And understanding. I think quite often when habits stick is when you notice a benefit from actually making a change. It justifies the reason for doing it, doesn't it?
The biggest benefit I've seen is actually from work. It's when you can just do like put a little block on for an hour or two or whatever. And it's when I should be paying attention to the kids. So that rather than sort of half being there, I've removed it completely during those times. It might be between 3 and 5 of an afternoon when I've got them at home, or it might be on a weekend. And so all of a sudden you are, taking photos for the sake of taking photos, not for the sake of taking photos to tell a load of people on the internet that you took a photo.
Yeah.
There's a difference. And then on that day, I'll be like, oh, here's a picture of us at the park. We had a nice day, rather than here is this instant photo of this thing that is happening now. I'm actually doing the thing that's happening now.
Yeah.
For me, just a little bit differently. It's almost like you're almost like showing off, aren't you? Like this thing's happening now. It's hilarious, and quite often it's not hilarious to us. But do you ever feel selfish, Chris?
I think the way I've always thought about it in my head is like there's like a selfish dad paradox where any time where I don't spend with my kids is time that I could have spent with them, and there's always going to be a little bit of an element of noticing that, and I guess in some way feeling a little bit guilty. But I know that on the other hand, I can't be as good a dad or as good as them for in their lives unless I'm sorting myself out first. So if I sat around for a week and didn't get any things done that I needed to do. So letting work tasks build up, not getting out in fresh air or doing a bit of exercise, not eating right. After a week, I'd be feeling terrible. And there's no way that you, unless you're very good at sort of changing your personality to some extent in different situations, then that's going to bleed into your other experiences, isn't it? And I think it comes back to the balance point. But yeah, it does feel selfish to some extent to focus chunks of time on yourself. But if the trade-off for that is that you're a better person and more present and a better person for the people to be around, I think it's worth it. It's just finding the right trade-off.
Yeah, and like your children, when our children grow up, they would hate to think that we resented them because we couldn't do anything except look after them. You know what I mean? Like, what,
Yeah.
Dad, you wanted to go to the gym, Dad, and we were 9. Why don't you just go? Like, wouldn't they? When they're adults, like, why did you hate us because you wanted to go? You should have just gone.
Yeah.
And in the same way that if that time was going out on the lash with your mates and that's what you needed to do, that's fine as well.
Mm.
But children would understand that we need to go out and get a babysitter every now and again. They won't grow up to be like any less, good humans because we decide to have that element as well. The thing you can't do all of it all the time, can you?
No.
You can't go to the gym twice a day, go to the pub 3 times a week, go and sit and meditate and do yoga. You can't do all those things and hold down a full-time job and train for high rocks or whatever else you're training for, or general training, and do all the kids' activities, because there's only 168 hours in a week, isn't there? So it's like finding those windows, but then really focusing on the times that you are switched on. And that's something that's like become quite prevalent to me, is trying to really, even if it's just a small 10-minute window over supper at night, where I'm just making them a bit of toast or a cup of tea at night at 8 o'clock before they go to bed, is just really trying to shelve everything for that moment.
Good things that have worked. Something that we did like together. I think of it as like a bit of like time stealing, but we had where we were both dropping our kids off at activities on a Tuesday night, and there was a window of like an hour and 15 minutes where by the time we dropped them off, got back in the car, got home, had a brew, it was time to put your shoes back on and come out and get them. But us and a few other dads went out for like a half an hour, 40-minute run, didn't we?
And
yeah.
And actually, I could only go for a 25-minute run because I then had to take another child to football practice.
Yeah. But there was nothing else that you could have done really with that time. And if you needed to get a 25-minute run at some point in the week, then that was a great place to put it, because all you've missed out on is driving back and forth from somewhere and having a brew. And those are like the little nuggets that, if you can identify some of those gaps in your week, that you can sort of double up on things, you can quite quickly start buying yourself back an hour or two, which is like, it's invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I will with the boys now, not all the time, but like typically Monday to Thursday, I'm either at football, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, football training, lacrosse training, or football or lacrosse on those 3 nights with various kids. Some of those times, maybe one night out of those 3, I'll find a bit of time to do a bit of running, or do something. And it might be I'll just put on like the group of that team or whatever it is. If anyone fancies a run tonight, I'll be there. And what that means is I have to go there with my shorts on, ready to run, just in case some other mum or dad wants to do that. And quite often no one else turns up, but I'm ready anyway. And what do I make sure I do? I make sure I watch the start of the session, do what I'm doing, and then I watch the end of the session, the fun bit where the kids, generally at a kids practice, they're having a game, aren't they? That's the only bit they want you to watch.
Yeah.
The half an hour in between. But like, it's also a good opportunity there to another aspect could be to just stand on the sideline, talk to other adults and watch your kids play. That's another thing that you could do, that you could value, rather than just be annoyed that you stood in the field getting wet, and actually enjoy this adult interaction whilst watching your kids. Or a third one is, and we've got this part-time business, but you can make a lot of phone calls and do appointments from the car in that business, or and catch up on emails, for example, catch up on a couple of calls to colleagues, or phone a couple of friends, whilst the children are doing that, or whilst other stuff's going on, and still actually be there, they still think you're there.
Yeah.
You know, if you wander off for 20 minutes, the point is they are in a coach-based led activity, aren't they?
Yeah.
Practicing. So that's just like little things I'll do is I'll be like, well, what am I doing in this window? I'm just going to stand there annoyed that I can't train, I can't do any work, and I'm stood around in the rain, or do I try to make most of the time some use of that time?
Yeah.
And that lends itself then occasionally, you know, I am like, well, you know what, the kids' tea sorted, I'm going to go to the gym, we're going to go for a run or whatever if I'm not trained that day. Because just like everybody else, because I spend 3 days a week in a gym, doesn't mean I spend all my time in the gym.
Yeah.
Still persuade myself to walk open those doors, warm myself up and do some exercise, just like it did for you to go out of your house this lunchtime, drive down to the gym and go and do whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from, because I didn't used to have it and now I do. But a lot of it comes from group accountability. So I'll often be asking someone to train. Like today I was asking you, do you want to come down and train with me? Oh, I want.
Yeah.
A little bit being selfish, wanting someone to play with, like a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Monday night went running with my cousin. The kids were at the same place. Like, right, you'll do. Come on, let's go for a run. It gives me the accountability to actually get this stuff done. And I think maybe that can't be that community, whether you call it a community or going for a run with your cousin. It's, to me, that it's the same thing. There's some level of accountability for something positive that's happening. I've just realised the time and I need to go and get the kids from school.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's gone quickly, that, hasn't it? Addressing that balance.
Did we answer our question? I'm not sure whether we did, but it was a good conversation.
Yeah, I don't know if we did, but I guess it's something we can come back to, and it's one of those things that's always evolving, isn't it? So you're never going to get a definitive answer, because tomorrow somebody will say, "Oh, the kids have got a party on Sunday," and then all your plans are up in the air and you start again. So
I don't think you can ever be in balance.
Nah.
There's always something, whether it's to grow your business, whether it's to become healthier, whether it's to spend more time working on your relationships at home, or something will always be more pressing. Now, where the balance comes in is that's the pressing thing is what is actually your priority, not someone else's.
Yeah. If you're not doing your own thing, then yeah, that's it. It's got to be your own balance, hasn't it? Otherwise, you're just playing somebody else's game.
Right, we'll pick this up another time.
Cool. Good to speak to you, mate.
See you, pal. Bye.
Bye.